right, y'all. This is Taylor Ursula of That's So Pisces, and we are finally ready to say goodbye to our Scorpio eclipses. Let's unpack. So, we've been waiting for this moment for quite some time. The nodes have been in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio since January of 2022. So, for about 18 months now, we've been having eclipses on the Taurus-Scorpio axis. This has been rather intense. The North Node moving through Taurus has been showing us where to lean into trust, where to tap into sensuality, how to get in touch with our physical needs, and what it looks like to work with the resources around us. The South Node moving through Scorpio has been asking us to get really clear on any of our behaviors, our thought patterns, our conditioning, anything in our subconscious space that has a hand on the wheel as we currently steer our vessel. It's been sticky, icky, yucky, scary, frightening. There's a lot within that subconscious space to be reckoned with. Scorpio is emotional, it's systematic, it's deep. So what we've been asked to release over the past 18 months has been buried very deeply within us, usually without our knowledge. So we're really excited to finish up this final Scorpio full moon eclipse. We are getting really clear on the material that's been brought to the surface, and we are starting to categorize what we've learned. We're starting to process what we've moved through. We're beginning to see ourselves living and breathing and moving throughout our lives and our worlds in a new way. We're probably still putting a lot of this away. The bulk of the lessons in this ecliptic journey have already come to the surface. So the thickest part of this journey has already passed. What we're doing then in this final full moon eclipse in Scorpio is just allowing for catharsis. Hopefully, this is a week where you're able to create some space for any emotions that come to the surface, for any grief that needs to be processed, for anything difficult that's just taken you some time to move through. We're just acknowledging and holding space, and we're doing our best not to push. That can be hard at a full moon because we want results, because we want to see something happening. But the moon is a little unstable in Scorpio. It's a little hungry, it's a little uncertain. So this is all the more reason to sit out where we can and sit with what comes up as much as we are able, and just provide some space for all of these things to surface. The nodes will finish up this journey between now and mid-July. So after this full moon, we'll be kind of processing, disseminating all of this material for good. Now, the journey to this full moon is also fraught with tension and chaos, potentially. Really depends on how we're able to maneuver and move through it. We've got a square to Pluto, which you will remember is how we started off Taurus season. The moon squared Pluto from Taurus shortly after that 29th degree Aries new moon eclipse. So we are going to have that second square come around. We're going to have maybe the other shoe dropping, or seeing some of the consequences of that confrontation that we had at the top of the season. We have the moon hitting the South Node before it's full. So really just driving home the point that we are letting things go. We have a trine to Saturn, which can be fruitful, can maybe show us building something long-term from this place of release. It may also look like taking on more responsibility or feeling a bit isolated in this eclipse release. We'll see how that shows up for each of us individually. We have an opposition to Mercury right before the moon opposes the sun in this eclipse. Our words, our feelings may be at odds. We may be saying something that goes against or betrays our actual emotions. We're going to have to figure out how to hold space for both sides of this equation. Rounding out this full moon eclipse are a few more conversations. After the moon becomes full, the moon will oppose Uranus. This makes me think that if we haven't found a way to create space, we will be forced to. If we have not found a way to acknowledge what has been coming up in these 18 months, or if we've been struggling to integrate some of this material, Uranus will make sure that it is forced into us in some way. There's a trine to Mars, who is still in Cancer and who is ruling this Scorpio moon eclipse. This might really have us, this is kind of a tricky one. The moon doesn't love to be in Scorpio. Mars doesn't love to be in Cancer. They would really rather be in each other's signs. What this means may look like an acceptance of sorts. We aren't able to use all of the resources that we need at this time in the face of this moon. We don't necessarily have the feeling of respect, perhaps, or of being able to just charge through the emotions that are coming up. We're still going to have to navigate things with others around us. This may feel, I don't know, let me know how this feels, because it's kind of a resolution, perhaps with a compromise. Let's put it that way. The final aspect from this Scorpio full moon eclipse is a trine to Neptune. Perhaps we're able to dissolve what we've moved through and see a higher purpose for this whole process that we've just finished. This has been a pretty tumultuous time. Aries season was quite a wild ride, and Taurus season thus far has been a bit bumpy. So we've got about 2.5 weeks left of Mars in Cancer. This Scorpio full moon eclipse is maybe going to be the climax of the tension that's been present for the past 2 weeks, maybe opened up by the Aries new moon eclipse that we just had. So if you've been going through it, know that this is hopefully a cathartic time, hopefully a time of culmination where we can finally start to make some sense out of everything that we've been navigating. Hang tight. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull some cards. And like we did for the Aries new moon eclipse, I'm going to be pulling a special set for this final Scorpio full moon eclipse. Let's see what's coming up.
Okay, let's get started. So, as I mentioned, we'll be pulling some different prompts for this eclipse, seeing as how it is not only an eclipse, but the final in its series, or rather the final of its kind. We will still have a Taurus full moon eclipse at the end of the year, so stay tuned for that. But that will have a different flavor. So this is the final Scorpio full moon eclipse, which means we are wrapping up a story here with the South Node in Scorpio. So today we will be looking at the story that we've seen surface in this South Node Scorpio journey, progress we've made toward releasing this story, integration that awaits us as this journey ends, signs we can look out for of new growth, and a final message from this final Scorpio eclipse. Let's take a look here. Okay, scoot everyone down. There we go. All right. So, the story that we've seen surface in this South Node in Scorpio journey is one of the Four of Swords. This automatically makes me think about boundaries. This makes me think about the pain that we experience when we don't assert boundaries or set boundaries, the space we've needed to take from other people that we care about from dynamics we've been a part of in order to kind of integrate some of this work. This makes me think a lot about isolation, whether it's real or whether it's perceived, whether it's desired or whether it's feared. It really depends on what our relationship is to isolation. And I think of isolation as being one side of the alone coin, the other side being solitude. And so it's really about what we choose when we are moving into being alone. It's really about what the purpose of the solitude or isolation serves. And so I think with the South Node moving through Scorpio, we've all had to navigate what this journey feels like. When have we been forced into isolation? When have we needed to choose solitude? Where have we been really confused or really tender about both of those things and the confusion that we may feel about which one we are experiencing? The Four of Swords is a very necessary card on the journey of the swords. We've just surpassed the pain of the three, which is that big catharsis, that big acknowledgement that pushes us into pain, but that also allows us to finally release it. And after the four is when we meet the five, which is a battle that no one is really winning. After that, the six comes and we have to walk away. So the four is an important rest stop, quite literally, on this journey of the swords. And Scorpio, especially eclipses in Scorpio, can definitely be a very swords journey, of a very swords nature. So the story that we've seen surface in this journey is one of getting clear on isolation versus solitude, getting clear on asserting boundaries so that we don't need to defend them after they've already been crossed. A journey of giving ourselves space as we navigate the journey of our mental health, pursuing truth in this life. It's wild out here in these streets. So we have really needed to get clear on what this space looks like to us and how we choose to use it. Whew, okay. Super casual stuff, right? Okay, progress that we've made toward releasing this story. Ah, beautiful. This really reflects the Taurus North Node part of this journey, which is that we've needed to find balance in ourselves. We can't control other people. We can't force other people to feel things or to see things or to understand things. And where we have either chosen solitude out of necessity for crafting stronger boundaries, or we've had someone's boundaries asserted in a way that we don't feel we can continue to make progress or headway, we've had to just come back to ourselves. We've had to come back to our bodies, to our own selves, to our own needs, to quite literally where it is we are trying to go and how structured we are, how supported we are in that growth, in some of the subconscious and some of the foundation elements of our lives. And so this feels quite literally like the Scorpio side of the journey and the Taurus side of the journey, where we've had to contend with or confront or be in conversation with our boundaries. We've had to start with our physical selves, our tangible needs, and we've needed to balance out this emotional, mental, psychological work with physical, gentle, tangible, tactile body work. Okay. Integration that awaits us as this journey ends. Well, we're gonna put some things into practice, aren't we? And that's really, 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 really true about boundaries. We have to keep practicing them in small ways. And I love this about the 8. It shows that if we've been moving along this journey and if this sounds familiar to what you've been experiencing, then hopefully that means you've made some progress, right? And this, of course, is why I asked about what integration still awaits us. This is what we've become aware of. This is what we are going to become aware of as the nodes finish up this journey and as this story comes to a close. So we need to keep practicing. Again, pentacles, tangible. This is mental. In our minds, conversation, words, communicating. This is all tangible. So we need to continue to practice what we preach. We need to take what we've learned in the two and continue to apply it and just keep practicing, not stressing about reaching the end or being perfect, but just getting to a place where this process becomes second nature. Signs that we can look out for of new growth. Oh, being open to truth. I love that we're seeing two suits in particular evolving. Very Scorpio and Taurus. So, signs that we can look out for, signs of new growth coming in, are that we are open minded, are that we are opening ourselves up to new mental patterns. This is where we may have had to break apart some structures that were happening in our brains, in our emotions, in how we react or respond to things. And so the page says, I am curious. I'm able to ask questions. I'm able to transcend the bounds, the current bounds of my mind in order to learn more. This is so beautiful. This means as long as we can remain open minded, as long as we can face our circumstances with curiosity and a desire to know more and to seek out that information, the more we continue to practice these tangible needs and asserting our boundaries, this means that we are evolving. This means that we have integrated and processed this lesson and that we've changed something. We've catalyzed something deep and powerful within ourselves. I love this. A final message from this final Scorpio eclipse. Okay. Wow, I said that we were watching two suits in particular evolve. We have seen the final evolution of the swords. This is dope. So, what I see here is essentially that this has been a challenge of self mastery, of mental self mastery. We have been through this Taurus Scorpio journey, and particularly the Scorpio part has been the swords. We've been along this ride, this somewhat chaotic, sometimes very unpredictable ride, in order to establish a sense of truth within ourselves. Again, I said back here that we can't control anyone else's perspective. We can't force anyone to see or accept anything, and we can only work on ourselves. And that's hopefully what we've been doing here. The king is someone who knows within themselves that the sword's journey is difficult, and yet with great dedication, with great might, we can become in communion with our minds, with our psychology, with our inner workings. And we can live and embody our truth and our connection and openness to truth in such a way that we can demonstrate that to others and hopefully lead them toward embodying their own truth. So again, we're not pushing anyone into truth. We are demonstrating with our practice and with our intentional boundaries and solitude that we are able to walk in our own truth. And I am able to establish a sense of calm within me. And I would love to model that for you so that you can just open to curiosity within yourself and go on this same journey. Ooh, this is powerful, y'all. This feels really meaningful and important. I hope that this resonates. I hope that you are aware of the immense progress that you've made in this past 18 months. Know that it's been hard. Know that it's been sticky, uncomfortable, sometimes downright. It's been violent. It's been a violent time. It's been a confrontational time on various levels. So know that this has been part of the universe's push for us to get clear for ourselves on a sense of authority within ourselves, understanding our process, giving ourselves space, and asserting those boundaries so that we can take care of these tangible needs that allow us to be strong and stand tall, metaphorically speaking. All right, y'all. Safe eclipsing, safe Mercury retrograding. If you enjoyed this, please like it, please share it, and subscribe. I will see y'all next week for our Aquarius third quarter moon. And stay safe, y'all. See you in the comments.